stumped him. He stumped him. He stumped him. Nice block. Wow. Great penetration. Surge through the middle of that. Michigan State first and goal. Yeah. Outstanding play.
We know we have a process. We don't skip steps. We don't do that. We do what we have to do. It takes what it takes. We did that. Okay, we did that, and thank God we got another game.
Like we talked about yesterday, do simple better, okay? Whatever your role is, just do simple better, okay? Do what we practice. Technique, fundamentals, gets the job done today. Let's go.
It's going to be 15 rounds because we're going to make it be that. Whether they want it to be that or not, it's going to be that.
I love it all, boys. Let's go and play for one another. Let's do it. Let's play confident. Let's play aggressive. Two, whatever it takes to get the job done. I don't care what we got to do.
All we're doing is chopping and hitting. Chopping and hitting. You know what I'm saying? We're going to battle and build. Battle and build the whole game. Battle and build. Battle and build and chop. That's all we got to do.
Here's a little flea flicker. They've had great success this season. They strike again. This time on Tony Foster. Touchdown from 52. They try Walker again. This time there's a hole, and there's the 16th rushing touchdown of the year for Kenneth Walker. Back to the air. Off-play action. Steps into one and gets picked off by Harvey. Third and goal. Walker part of the pattern again. He slips it through for Reed. He's got his second touchdown of the night. He's got 3 straight carries here. This one is in the end zone. Touchdown, Kenneth Walker and Michigan State. Michigan State is 9-1. And a matchup for the Buckeyes on deck.
Hell yeah, we ain't done yet.
No, sir.
Good evening, everybody. This is Brian Musalam, along with my co-host Jason Strayhorn on Inside the Locker Room. Mr. Strayhorn, the Honorable, how you doing today?
Outstanding, Brian, man. You're in a good mood today, man. That hype video got you going?
Oh, it got me going. Every time Coach Tuck speaks, hell yeah. We ain't done yet.
Love it. I love it.
I love that fire.
And I know the boys in the locker room do too.
Love that fire. I love that energy. I love the bounce back win. I think it speaks to the testament and character of this team. Next man up mentality. Next one up, 24-hour rule. It takes what it takes. And the best part of his press conference is when he said 2 + 2 is 4. It's very simple.
It's simple.
There's a process. And the process doesn't change week in and week out. So MSU defeats Maryland 40-21.
Oh, yeah.
Setting up a showdown here in Columbus. What were your takeaways from this game, Jason?
You know, for me, it was the way that the team responded after the adversity that they faced on the road in West Lafayette. You know, they were told time and time again about the Boilermakers, i.e. spoiler makers, and their knack for knocking off top 3 teams. And, you know, as an 18 to 22-year-old, it's tough to really understand that because you weren't around for the games 5 years ago, much less the ones 55 years ago. And they went on the road.
54 years ago.
Okay, to be exact. To be exact.
You get it wrong.
You know, thank you, Brian. And, you know, for them to be able to go on the road and experience that loss, and they felt, I mean, it hurts to lose. It hurts. But it wasn't, you know, to me, you know, you don't judge a guy like Peyton Thorne just by what he's doing when things are good. You judge a leader like that when things don't go his way. And after a loss, they prepared like madmen, in my opinion, and were able to put together a great game, much better on third down, both sides of the ball and special teams, and were able to put together a nice win, 40-21 in the woodshed, Brian, and a Big Ten East W. Left-hand column.
playing for championships in November. I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, that's the mantra, is that come November, you want to play for championships. You want to be playing your best football. I think a lot of credit goes to Scotty Hazelton and the adjustments that he made on third down. I mean, Maryland, I believe, was 3 for 13 on third down. You saw us pressure the quarterback time and time again. I believe we had 4 sacks. You saw 3 intentional groundings. I thought Coach dialed up some blitzes, dialed up some calls. We caught him in some situations, and I thought the team responded very, very well. It's very difficult. The worst thing one loss can become is 2 losses, and I think we came out, we punched them in the face, and didn't look back from there. You talk about people stepping up. You talk about Noah Harvey coming in and stepping up. You talk about that next man up mentality, that if you're playing, that you're a starter. And K9 did what he had to do. They tried to bottle him up for many parts early on in the game, and I thought Peyton Thorne responded admirably. Probably having one of his better games. I think he passed for 287 yards and 4 touchdowns, and really brought back some of that quick strike explosive offense.
Yeah.
And then you saw, as the game went on, how K9 was able to rack up some of the yards and begin to wear down that Maryland defense. And kudos to them. Kudos to the way they played, the way they prepared, the way they came out in the woodshed, and really took it to Maryland. I'm very, very proud of this team, and who would have thought come November, November 15, I believe, that we're going to be playing for games for all the marbles, heading down to Columbus, playing for the Big Ten East Championship. Think about it. If I would have told you this was going to happen in August, what would you have said?
Look, it's November Madness. Obviously no one expected this. Let's not kid ourselves. No one did outside of that locker room. The kids
outside of the
locker room. Let's be very clear on that. Those young men, and the men that coach those young men in that locker room believed this, or else they wouldn't be here. They believed it. Clearly, they believed it, or else they wouldn't do it. So hats off to them. And as you said, Peyton Thorne, a guy who I think it was like 72% completion percentage this week, with 4 touchdowns. The flea flicker struck again. The flea flicker has struck again.
That is a permanent play in the playbook, the flea flicker, by the way.
You know why it works? Because you got a guy like K9. I'm telling you.
That's exactly why it works.
Everybody,
everybody's keying on him.
They're keying on number 9 when he gets the ball. So when he gets that ball, the linebackers, I think safeties are up in the defensive line position when he gets the ball. So when he throws it back, there's no one deep. This time, Foster, a new guy, catches the ball deep, which we love to see that. Next man up mentality. You saw a lot of new players, new faces, making plays offensively and defensively for Michigan State. I think, with the injuries mounting, it became apparent that these guys had to prepare better because it wasn't a question as to whether or not they're going to play or not. They definitely were playing, and as we're going to see in Columbus, there's going to be more guys preparing to play. And when you talk to Mel Tucker in the his post-game comments, he talked about the players coming in late night. It's like it's some kind of romper room going on over there where everybody's sitting around and they're studying because it takes what it takes.
And you talk about, you look at 2 tackles are out, right? You got Horst out, I believe. Samac is out, and you talk about that next man up mentality. You go back to Noah Harvey, which I believe that sequence of the PI, the pass interference, and then next play has a pick.
Carrick. Samac is playing.
I'm sorry, Carrick and Horst. But you talk about Harvey, right, getting a PI, and then the next play getting a pick.
Oski.
Yeah, and it speaks to the attitude, it speaks to the culture, it speaks to the mentality that Coach Tuck preaches. And Coach Tuck had some very interesting comments, just talking press game when we talked about when we watched his press conference. Listen to what he had to say just about not the next man up.
Yeah, we're really proud of the effort from our team tonight. Guys played extremely hard. The preparation during the week was outstanding. Just so important to our players and to our staff. And I just really have a lot of respect for our players, and I admire how they approach these games and how much they put into it and how hard they play. And so it was a relentless effort. Complementary football, offense, defense, and special teams. We showed improvement in some areas, which is much needed, and the guys really dug in this week and made a conscious effort to get better. And we had some guys step up also, because we had some guys banged up, so we need some guys to step in. Obviously, we had confidence in them to get the job done, and they went in there and played with a lot of effort and toughness, mental and physical toughness, and that's what it takes. And so, we got the end result that we wanted. And we'll check out the film. We'll see where we need to improve. We'll get some things cleaned up, and we'll get ready for the next one. That's what it feels like in November. This is a team that is not entitled. Everything that we've gotten to this point, we've earned. We've had to take, and that's what we'll continue to have to do. We're gonna have to earn it, and we'll have to work extremely hard, and we'll have to continue to play with great effort and mental and physical toughness. That's what it's going to take to get the job done here this week and down the stretch.
It's all about that next man up. It's all about the mentality. It's all about believing. What are your thoughts on that, Jason?
I mean, I think that, having the ability to understand that it doesn't matter who's playing in the game, you are a starter. He has this new thing where there's a different captain pretty much for every ball game. Like there's nothing solidified. No one earns something and is stuck in that place forever. He runs this program really like an NFL, a professional program, in that if you're on this roster, you can play. If you're here and for whatever reason you might not start the game, you're in the game next, that you are treated as a starter. Just like, this NIL generation, I guess it's fitting, right? Everybody has the ability to capitalize on being a college athlete, no matter what sport you played, what gender, what equity, it's all the same. But from a coaching standpoint, what is expected of you, especially when you play for this program, is excellence, quite frankly. Excellence. Doesn't matter what your experience level is and who's so-called in front of you. You're expected to perform at a high level, which is what you're starting to see guys buy into here. There are players out there that, George and I in the booth, we're looking at them saying, trying to find out who they are, because we haven't seen them. But they're playing like starters, and there's not a drop-off. You think about Michigan State before the season, predicted to go, the over-under was 4.5 wins?
4.5, yep.
You're at 9 right now, and there's a lot of players out there on that field that we don't know their names. They are not household names at all. There's a few household names, but there's a ton of names that you don't know and you can't tell. That's the earmark of a great coach and a great coaching staff and a future to be a great program. And 2 more games to find out exactly where they end up. And I think, as everyone else knows, the road to the Big Ten championship in Indianapolis goes through Columbus.
But it really speaks to the culture that he's building there, that you get on that field, you're a starter.
Absolutely.
We expect you to perform at a high level. You're wearing the green and white, and when you get out there and your number is called, you're expected to make plays. And I think when you preach that day in and day out, when you preach that and you teach these young men and you set the tone and you set that to be the culture of your program, the cornerstone of your program, that next man up mentality, that builds toughness, that builds confidence, and you look at those young men and you tell them, I believe in you. You might not be on the field right now, but you're good enough to get out there and you're good enough to make plays. And I just cannot speak enough about how Coach Tuck has just ingrained that in their head.
Yeah.
And he just it's really a sight to see, because you see these young men get out there and they're expected to make plays, aren't they, Jason?
Oh, for sure. You go to practice with Mel Tucker leading the game, the practice out there. He's all over the young guys. He's all over the scout team. he's pushing them. He's on the scout team to make plays on the first team offense or defense, all over them, and congratulating them when they do. There's this. It's not normally like if you go back to our era, we would in other practices that I've been around. I'm sure you've been around, Brian. You see the starting team going against the scout team, and if the scout team happens to make the play, the coaches go mad over, well, how did you let that happen? Blah, blah, not here. It's Mel Tucker and his staff. They're pushing. You got to make a play on the scout team. They're pushing them to beat the starters, which translates into what we're talking about right here, next man up mentality. You're already doing it in practice. You're doing it in practice against the so-called starters. So why can't you do it in a game?
So I think the biggest improvement that we saw was this past game was the ability, because we know the Achilles heel so far this year has been the inability to get off the field on third down. And Coach Tuck addressed that in his press conference.
Talk about the adversity that you have with players not being there, and you see guys like Noah Harvey step up. What is it that you and your staff does or says to these players to make sure they're ready when you call their number?
Yeah, next man up. If you're in the game, you're a starter. Whether somebody's helmet comes off and you're going in, or there's an injury, or.
So getting off the field on third down. Getting off the field on third down. When you're up in that booth for this past game, what did you see differently this week on third down as opposed? And I know we touched on it earlier, but up, because your view is probably the best to watch a game. What were you seeing differently this week that you didn't see against Purdue?
I don't know if it's the best to watch a game. I like being down there in the action.
I agree with that.
Down there where you guys are, down on the field. But I saw a lot more pressure coming from the defensive side of the ball. No more where they're just, Michigan State rushing 2 or 3 defenders or 4 defenders. There were spots of that. But primarily you would see pressure coming from different angles. It would be from the corner blitz. There's 2 linebackers coming. Sometimes one linebacker, they would show blitz and, jab zone blitz where the linemen would come out and the linebackers would go towards the quarterback in Tale Tungafaloa. It's a mouthful there, Brian. Did not like that pressure. In fact, when he got that pressure, you saw a lot of happy feet, a lot of retreating. And the good news with him, for Michigan State was that he never broke the tackle box. He never got outside the tackle box, and he would just heave the ball over his shoulder to try to get rid of it because he didn't want to get hit with that pressure. A smaller quarterback, slightly built. They take injuries when they get hit, so they don't want to hold on to the football. But, hey, if you don't break the tackle box and you don't throw it towards any receiver that we can see, and you don't make it to the line of scrimmage with that football, intentional grounding.
We saw 3 of them.
Lost it down.
Yeah, we saw 3 of them, and I don't recall.
Sack, baby.
That's a sack. That's a sack, really, when you think about it. And I was, to me, that it's all about getting the pressure. If you want to protect the secondary, pressure the quarterback. And we were able to get to him. We were able to get, got them 4 times, got a ton of pressures, got 3 intentional groundings. And, that's what we're going to have to do to win this week. Oh. We are going to have to do that to win this week. And, what's really impressive about this team is just their mental toughness. Their physical and mental toughness is that, God, I don't hate to say it, but I'm believing it because I'm walking around saying it all day, is that they just keep chopping. Keep chopping. Just keep playing.
That's it,
keep
baby.
playing, keep chopping, and keep playing. And, Coach addressed that in his press conference.
Last week, you talked about getting off the field and defensively getting stops on third down being a problem, but how would you sort of assess that effort today, especially given some of the guys that were out for you guys defensively?
Well, we know that they have very good offense and good players, and I thought we made some significant improvements on third down. Defensively, I think they were 3 of 13 or something like that. So that's solid, and it can help you win games. And getting off the field on third down, it was a point of emphasis this week. My hat goes off to Scotty and the staff, digging in and just, finding solutions. finding solutions to issues, and then preparing the players, and the players really stepping up and knowing what we need to do, to be able to get off the field. And then, we were able to convert, offense some too. So that's, it was good complementary football that way.
You just can't say enough about this toughness, mental toughness and physical toughness of this team, battling injuries, and then just buying into the culture, buying into the believing. Football is all about believing. And it's really this mindset that he's created around this program, and the way that these young men are buying into what he's saying and believing what he's saying. And the proof is in the pudding. I mean, we're playing for championships in November. I mean, you can't ask for anything more than that. And, it speaks to really what he's building over there. And talk to me a little bit, Jason, about just kind of how he has everybody buying into the belief of the toughness, the attitude, and what it takes to win day in and day out.
November Madness is what he calls it. Kind of like March Madness in basketball. He says this is November Madness. So it's when you have to ante up and play your best football. Mel Tucker's an intense individual. Sometimes you see him, he seems kind of, like, hey, I'm just a nice guy.
He does play possum at those press conferences,
He does,
I'll give you the 2 + 2 is 4.
He does, yeah, but hey,
then
he's
you see that, hell yeah, we ain't done
intense.
yet.
Don't let Mel fool you. He's intense. I'll tell you that. Firsthand knowledge. You watch him at practice. I mean, you hear him talk. Even privately, we talk to him, and he's very, focused. There's nothing that – he's an unflappable guy. We talk about that with quarterbacks a lot of times that are very calm under pressure. And we're talking from the literal sense, pressure. People throwing darts at him, marbles, as Coach Saban would call it. But this is a guy he carries his business just like that in his real life, professionally, and absolutely out there as a head coach with the team. And they mirror that, right? I mean, this is something that you can't help but mirror. If you're around a guy, if your head coach is, calling out everybody all day, all night, and
we were part of that.
Paying attention to detail. I mean, the guy, you can't hide. There is no hiding on a football field with Mel Tucker. He's on everything. He doesn't try to work referees and try to do things for the camera. That's one thing he does not do. But he does make sure that everyone out on that field knows that he knows what's going on every play. And I think that's why he's one hell of a coach. And I hope that we have him for a long time around here.
Yeah, so do I. He's Saban-esque in his attention to detail, right? He's learned from the best. He's been at Ohio State, LSU, Alabama, Georgia. He's learned from the best.
10 years in the NFL.
10 years in the NFL. Wasn't head coach in the NFL.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people underestimate his pedigree. I think you and I have both, we know a lot of coaches around college football. We know which ones are there for X's and O's. We know which ones are there for their recruiting prowess. And, Mel is the coach, the type of coach that has both that respect, right? He's got the respect from the recruits,
no question,
and understanding the recruiting process. But he also has the pedigree, the X's and O's pedigree, where he's highly respected in the boardroom. And in terms of his attention to detail, in terms of his schematic approach to the game. And I think, a lot of people underestimated that. A lot of people didn't realize exactly how detailed he was. And you're seeing that. You're seeing that he's, you got 41 new players that have been added to this roster, the way that they have gelled, the way that he's used the portal to his advantage, to our program's advantage. And it really speaks volumes and a testament. You're right. You're absolutely right when you said earlier that he's running it like an NFL program. He's treating it like an NFL program, and that's only going to make everybody better. Yeah. He also had some more interesting words to say in his press conference, because I'm just fascinated by his press conferences.
I wondered if you could kind of speak to the toughness factor right now of your team. I mean, you have been playing with guys banged up, guys playing through some bumps and bruises out there, but still making some big plays. How much did you see that tonight, and how much do you guys need that next week?
Yeah, I just think toughness is not an issue with this club, with this ball club. That's not a question in my mind. You know, that's never been a question. You know, it's like I said, I admire the way our guys play, and I respect the way they play, because they do play with effort and they do play with toughness, mental and physical toughness. And so, you know, like I said, my hat goes off to them, because they, you know, they have to go out there and do it. When they're going out there, they're preparing, and they're going out there on Saturdays and laying it on the line, you know, for each other, and everybody knows what, you know, that we're coming in here to win games. And so, I mean, the opponent, you know, they have a vote as well. So it's not like you just going to give it to you, man. You got to go out there, you got to earn it, you got to take it. And it's football, so the name of the game is hit, and it's a physical deal out there. It's a lot of one-on-one battles. It's nose-to-nose, shoe-to-shoe, you know, belly button to belly button, you know, out there all over the field. And I mean, you can't get it done if you don't have any toughness.
You know, he has a way of talking to his team through his press conferences, which I find some coaches do, some don't. Like you said in our last show, some will say something different in the locker room and come out and say something different. But he does a very good job of sending messages to his team through his press conferences. And you know, he wasn't bashful about letting the fans know how he felt at the end of the game, how important it was for them to be there. In particular, the student section. He tweeted out
the deep end.
Yep. Our team fought hard and got the job done tonight. We are going to keep chopping and continue to trust the process. Stick around next time at MSU student section. We count on you all. So he even pays attention to that. And it's important to him that the deep end becomes just that, the deep end. And that, I know it got cold, and I know it was, you know, the second half there was little precipitation and some sleet. But, you know, this is the attention to detail that he pays attention to. This is how he wants everybody bought into the program. When he says the program, he's not just talking about the players, the staff, the administration. I mean, he's talking about the fans. He's talking about the student section. And he wants the Woodshed to be one of the most feared places to play in America. I mean, and we're undefeated in the Woodshed this year. And he wants the deep end when a team is coming out of that end zone in the deep end to hear that it's very loud, and that they make a difference, and that he wants them to stay for the whole game. And I can appreciate that. I totally can appreciate that.
I think that's the biggest difference right there between pro and college football, right there. The fact that a head coach can address the fans, i.e. the student section or the deep end in the woodshed, and the alumni, and get a reaction out of them in a positive manner. Because in a pro game, you don't hear them talking about that. They don't do that. They talk about best fans in the world, blah, blah, blah. That's it. But in college, it's a unique opportunity to where the fans can be educated. They're more bought in from not just a dollars and cents perspective. It's a legacy perspective.
It's an emotional attachment.
It's an emotional attachment. More so than, not to say the NFL is not emotional, but it is that.
That's much different.
But it's different.
Much different, because the NFL...
He understands that.
The NFL is a product, and the consumer is going to decide if they're coming or not based on the product. Your college, your university, there is much more of an emotional attachment. Like you said, it's a legacy play. It's your school. It's unconditional love that you have for your university. You know, I know many people that have written off the Detroit Lions as their favorite quote-unquote NFL team. But there are very few Spartans that turn their back on their program. And he speaks to that. He speaks to your heart. And I think, you know, that's something that he recognizes, how passionate a college fan base can be. And I really give him credit for that. You know, so now, how about K9? How special is K9, huh?
Oh, my goodness. Are you kidding me?
140 yards, 30 carries, 2 touches.
That boy's special.
That was special. Little highlight reel we got for K9, because he is special. He is still in the Heisman discussion. Big time. And it's going to take one massive effort in Columbus to lock that trip up to New York and carry in the hardware. We got that video? I saw Tim Tebow showing how about him jump cut and talking about K9. Look at him, the way
leg
he's able.
strength.
You see very few backs that are able to cut on a dime like look at that.
Look at that. Right
Look
there.
at that. I mean, you can't teach that. I mean, you cannot teach that.
Get him. Watch yourself.
You want to know why 4 flea flickers have worked? There it is right there. He's a fun back to watch. He reminds me a little bit of Barry Sanders. When he touches the ball, he could go at any play he can go.
Touchdown right there.
The leg strength that he has, his ability to jump cut, his ability to reverse
There it
fields.
goes right there. They work on that drill right there going over the top. I saw running backs coach.
Look at this one.
Flieger.
Right here. Watch this. Look at that.
Piegler. Excuse me, coach.
Found him in the portal. He's a special talent. Where's that one run? I think right here is the one. Look at this move. Look at that. That is so pretty. I'll tell you, he is a special back. Jason, have we seen a back ever at Michigan State this good? I'm talking total package.
I don't think so. And it's saying a lot because Michigan State's had a lot of great backs. They really have. They really, really have. But you keep seeing this guy stack up game after game after game after game, and he's just not stopping. It's not like he's slowing down. They're trying to manage his workload during the week as far as the reps he does in practice. But you see it from his work ethic. His work ethic's legendary. Preparation's legendary. He's a great teammate. He's a smart guy. They don't have to worry about him academically. This is the model football player.
Humble young man.
Humble. And whoever the NFL team is that drafts him, they get a jewel. Mel Tucker's not going to run him too much, and they're going to run him into the ground. So he's got a lot of meat on the bone left in order to do some big things on Sunday in a stadium near you. But we're just glad right now we have an opportunity to watch him and see what he can do and finish out this season as a Michigan State Spartan.
I'm telling you what, he goes into Columbus and he has a monster showing, and we walk out of there with a W.
Oh boy,
he will win the Heisman.
Oh, this is the Heisman game?
This is the Heisman game right here.
Man, put all that pressure on that boy, man. Hey, listen, he's got 2 games left, Brian.
Showdown, high noon, Saturday in Columbus.
Wow.
18-point underdogs. We've gone into Columbus heavier dogs than 18. I remember back.
I think we're 19 now. It's creeping.
Is it creeping?
Oh, it's creeping.
Is it creeping? So how about 1990? I'm telling you, some great memories were in that we've had in Columbus. And one game in particular, 1998, when you played. Huh? Do you remember that? I believe we were 28-point underdogs in that game.
Yeah.
Ohio State was ranked number 1 in the country. Do we got a picture of that? Look at that.
Shocks the world. Look at it. Billy Burke.
Billy Burke
walking off the field.
World. Ranked number 1 in the country.
That's an Ohio kid right there walking by all those Buckeye fans.
1998.
Look at them. They want to bite him. They want to punch him.
Nobody gave us a chance.
Not at all.
Shocked the world. Shocked the world down in Columbus.
No
Football
chance.
Football is a game. Anybody can beat anybody. And how about in 2015? So we talk about the Buckeyes, right? They're loaded. I mean, they got 5 stars at every position. Mm-hmm. Their quarterback's having a Heisman Trophy kind of year. And what are the obvious keys to the game?
I'll go back to how you started this conversation off, and you talked about 1998. And there was a point in that game, somebody reminded me this week, that we were down 24-9, and we went on to score 5 consecutive times after that to win the ball game. But there wasn't a time on that sideline or on the field that we felt like we were behind. We went in there as a full-blown unit, and everybody believed it was just like most college players feel. We didn't care about the line. We didn't care about anything else. We knew that if we stuck together and did what we were supposed to do and execute, we had a chance to. We should win this game. And I remember, Brian, breaking the huddle and coming up on this, Buckeye defense, And the look in these guys' eyes.
There's 2015 right there, 13-point underdogs. Connor Cook's not playing. Here's another game nobody gave us a chance to win here.
So I mean, thanks for interrupting me.
Sorry.
But anyway, so we're going to get to that too. Thanks, pal. Just because he wasn't in that game.
Give us your El Bundy moment. I was on the field for that game.
When he's not on the field, he wants to cut everybody off. But this is why everybody loves you. So, in case you were wondering, this is why they love you.
Because I was on the field for that game?
Yeah, that too.
Oh, okay.
Both interrupting and on the field for that game.
My apologies. Go ahead. Tell us
but my point was that we could see the look in the eye of those Buckeye defenders, and over time in the third, fourth quarter, they started to fight one another. They started to break down fundamentally from within. Now we know how talented they are. If you don't jump out on them, if you don't stand in their face and stand strong, then things can happen. We've seen that happen a bunch of times. But if you want an opportunity to end the game like that right there, Geiger doing the windmill, running down the field, and that would be Coughlin this year, right? Coughlin in his 9th year.
12th.
If you want to see some of that.
I caught him on the back end when I graduated.
We're going to have to stop the Buckeyes defensively. Because I think that Michigan State's going to be able to score. You look at what Purdue did this past week against them. Purdue put up 31 points. I mean, listen, O'Donnell, who knows? Like, I remember.
You never know.
Purdue had this little freshman kid named Drew Brees that came back like 20 points. We were down 20. We were up 20 on this Drew Brees, snot-nosed kid. And I don't know who well, hell, he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. We don't know who this O'Donnell kid is going to be yet. But he's pretty doggone good at Purdue. 536 yards against the Spartans. He comes back and has a heck of a game down in Columbus, lights them up, but just isn't enough. I mean, Ohio State, I think, scored 52 points. Yeah. So that can't happen. Michigan State's going to have to find a way to, in my opinion, they're going to have to turn that ball over. They're going to get the ball. They're going to get the ball away from the Buckeyes in opportune times, and Michigan State has to be offensively what they have been and continue to improve and play the best game they've played all year long.
So I agree. I think we're going to have to be able to find a way to get off the field on third downs. I think we're going to need to create a few turnovers, win the turnover battle, and absolutely unequivocally it'll come down to red zone defense. They got to kick field goals. Got to hold them to field goals. We know they're going to get their yards. We believe we're going to get our yards. I mean, if you watched Ohio State against Nebraska, I watched them in another game where, against Oregon.
What about Oregon? Yeah, I was going to say.
They're peaking right now, but they are human. I mean, you saw Purdue put up 31 on them, so they are human. So I really believe you have to win the turnover battle. You have to hold them to red zone field goals, and you got to find a way to get off the field on third down. You got to find a way to pressure the quarterback. And I truly believe, and more important than me believing, I believe that these young men can go into Columbus and win this game, which will be the closed end of the horseshoe is a very hostile environment. College game day will be there. One advantage is the noon kick, right? They don't have 8 hours to get wound up.
I was going to say, why is that an advantage? Explain, please.
It's a little bit harder to imbibe at 9 a.m. than it is maybe noon. But
for some.
Yeah, down
Speak
there.
for yourself.
You're right, down there.
This is Ohio now.
Down there, who knows? But, when you see
they're imbibing now.
Michigan State's getting absolutely zero respect heading into this game, and it's kind of the way we like it. Wouldn't you say?
This is perfect. This does set up good for Michigan State because, as you and I both know, when you're favored by so much, and the coaches are telling you, you got to pay attention to this team. They've been known to knock us off. In 2015, well, none of these kids. 2015, what were these kids doing? These young men on this team, they were in
high school, 15,
not even
14,
middle school. Some of them, 1998. They're going to bring that up, and that's ancient history for these kids. They weren't born. No, their parents were just like they were twinkles in their parents' eyes at that point. So it's not going to be easy for them to get emotionally up for this game. I think it's going to be easy for Michigan State to get up, but we'll see.
I remember in 15, when we played them down there. I've never seen us more excited on the field pregame. You know, Connor Cook was not playing that game, and I'll never forget how intense we were in warm-up, and especially at halftime. I've never seen Coach D so irate. I believe we had 3 holding calls, and I'll never forget when we came out of that tunnel, and it was raining and it was cold, and our young men were jumping and screaming and yelling, and I looked over at the Ohio State sideline and I saw them all under the heaters, and I said, "We're going to win this game. We are going to win this game." I had that feeling because we out-toughed them, we out-physicaled them up front, and I think, you know, this year there are many challenges that we're going to face down in Columbus. They're obviously loaded, but again, I think Peyton Thorne's got to have a great game. I think K9's got to do his thing. We have to be able to pressure the quarterback, get off the field on 3rd downs, win the turnover battle, but most importantly, red zone defense. It's going to come down to red zone defense to win this game.
And stopping the big play.
Stopping the big play.
Yeah, you can't have them big splashes, man.
That's what you do. I mean, if you want to make the hardest thing to do in college football is be patient. Go 12 plays, 80 yards. Force them to beat you that way. If you force a team to beat you that way, to be able to march down the field, you know, the chances of them making a mistake, something happen, an offside, a turnover, a penalty, those chances increase. So we cannot allow big plays heading into Saturday. And I think Coach Tucker's going to have these young men ready. We're going to walk into Columbus and we're going to be ready to play. Then again, what else would I think?
We all think that. We hope that. You know, C.J. Stroud, the freshman phenom down there.
Well, he's gotten better, hasn't he?
Yes, he has. He's gotten better. I mean, you got 2 quarterbacks. This is their first time in a game of this magnitude, both of them. Talking Peyton Thorne and C.J. You know, so this is a huge game with an electric atmosphere. These players, you know, being able to go into the horseshoe. I don't know how many of our players on Michigan State's team have played in the horseshoe in a game like this. It's been a long time, man. It really has. So, you know, this is something that they'll remember for a lifetime, especially if they come out on the right end of this, in which they can do. They're fully equipped and they're fully in belief that they can go out down there and make this happen. But, you know, there's obviously a lot of work that they have to do during the week to prepare for a game and a matchup like this. I mean, you got to study like you've never studied before. You got to believe like you never believed before. And you got to get in that treatment room, man, because I'm going to tell you, in week 11, there's a lot of bumps and bruises, man. A lot of guys.
Banged
it's
up.
Attrition.
Everybody's banged up.
There's a song called Everybody Hurts. We need to play that.
Everybody.
Everybody hurts.
This time of the year,
oh, yeah.
Injuries are not excuses. So we're excited about Columbus, and we can't wait for Saturday. But before this past Saturday's game, there was an interesting tweet that came out from people, a lot of rumors and speculation circulating about an extension for Coach Tucker. Out of all people, Colin Cowherd tweets out.
Who is he, by the way?
He's
an LA guy, right? Los Angeles?
Yeah, he's an LA guy. And I'm not sure what involved him or what brought him to even say this. And I just laugh at some of the things some of these guys tweet and come up with. So Colin Cowherd tweets out that Mel Tucker and MSU are close to a new deal. Negotiations are friendly and moving quickly. This isn't Colorado. MSU is all in on football. Contract offer is huge. Reminder, Dan Gilbert is billionaire alum. He and donor Matt Ishbia all in. What are your thoughts to that tweet before we correct it?
I mean, partially correct, but there's some stuff wrong with that one.
Yeah, there is. And, you know, it's 7:27 Monday evening, so we're taping this show for you viewers. And that tweet is partially correct. We have 2 billionaire donors by the name of Matt Ishbia and Steve St. Andre who have stepped up to the table, who are all in on Coach Tucker. That we can confirm. Can we?
Without question. This is happening.
That we can confirm. Both Matt Ishbia and Steve St. Andre have both offered to help keep Coach Tucker at Michigan State University. And kudos to them and their leadership. It's amazing, amazing people that see the vision of Coach Tucker and that want to help the university retain Coach Tucker, who quite frankly has not asked for an extension.
No, he hasn't. And I think that they've stepped up because they are, obviously successful businessmen, and they can see talent when they see it. They know it when they see it. That's the difference between working for a company and building their own company and having the wild success that they have had. They know this is a once-in-a-generational type of coach. We've been here before as players. Brian, you and I have been there.
We know when Nick got on that plane.
We played for Nick Saban, and we know as adult men now that Nick wanted to stay. Because primarily, let's just put all the chips on the table. Coaches don't leave if they're taken care of and where they are. If facilities are built and the contracts are comparable to where they feel that they should be paid, they're not generally looking to leave if you're in an upper tier program, which Michigan State is, quite frankly.
Oh, it's a destination site.
It's a destination.
No question.
It hasn't been looked at as that, but clearly Michigan State has the resources, has the fan base, and has all the tools necessary to perform on a huge stage like they're ready to perform. And I just love the fact that we have two guys like this, Matt Ishbia, Steve St. Andre, great dudes, salt of the earth individuals, and they got deep pockets. And they said, look, we want him here. And the hats off to the administration at Michigan State, President Stanley, and Alan Haller, athletic director, for moving swiftly on this and getting things done, man. I mean, this is the board of trustees. Everybody is all in on this.
Working towards to get things done.
Yeah,
so
very happy.
Hats off to the board of trustees, the president, and A.D. Haller. And, I just cannot impress enough. We've never had, as a university, donors step up to help pitch in to keep a coach.
No,
a coach who didn't ask for an extension.
Think about this.
But Matt Ishbia and Steve St. Andre, what they're doing or what they're proposing to do for this university has never, ever been done before in the history of Michigan State University. And, we're hoping that something gets done soon, relatively soon, we're hoping. Hats
off to everybody involved in this. What is near and dear to my heart and you, I know that we talk about this off the air privately all the time, is that you have two guys in a position of power, and athletic director Alan Haller as an African-American male and Mel Tucker as an African-American coach. And we know the disparity and the social inequity that exists within coaching, especially in the two major sports of football and basketball, both collegiately and professionally. Right now, they are proposing to make Mel Tucker the highest paid African-American coach in sports in general. And I think that speaks to the testament of what this university stands for, what Alan Haller stands for, and what Mel Tucker stands for today and for the future of coaches of color. As you and I both talk about all the time, you have a cousin who's a minority coach in the NFL, and Mr. Saleh, coach, and this is huge for him too. Like this helps everyone. The ships all rise with the tide, and hats off to Michigan State for being a leader in doing this.
So we're not gonna speak out of turn and talk about a deal being done, but if this goes down the way we believe it to go down, this will send shock waves all across college football.
Why would it stop?
At the end of
you're always hesitating.
At the end of the day, you don't got a deal until you have a deal. But we know it's progressing in the right direction.
Okay.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, when this gets done, it's gonna send a message to the country that Michigan State University means business, and that we're here to play with the big boys, and that we have donors willing to step up like Matt Ishbia and Steve St. Andre, who are willing to step up.
Recruits. all the 4 and 5 stars or whoever it is that's out there that's being recruited, the guys that maybe be under the radar that are talking to Mel Tucker. Come on to Michigan State. Everybody, the families that are on the fence worried about Mel Tucker going to LSU or to the NFL, don't listen to that. Come on to Michigan State. And let's see what happens when Mel Tucker gets the guys that he wants here. Let's see, because look, he went out there in the portal and got a few guys. I mean, he came up with a Heisman Trophy guy by the name of K9. Let's see what happens when this deal gets done, as you said. We'll just wait patiently for this deal to get done.
Let's wait patiently. Let's wait patiently.
This is Monday.
Let's wait. It's Monday. It's Monday night.
This airs Tuesday.
This airs Tuesday night. Let's wait patiently. But one more time, Matt Ishbia, Steve St. Andre, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
From the bottom of our hearts. Seriously.
Moving on now to MSU basketball.
Hoops.
Don't feel like basketball season. You and I both headed to Madison Square Garden.
Oh, that was a great night.
Great night. We opened up a tough game.
Yeah.
Playing the
Kansas.
number 3 ranked team in the country, who I thought we showed glimpses of what this team could be.
Man.
And then we came out against Western and ran it up on them. I think Gabe Brown had a double-double. I think Tyson Walker's beginning to get more comfortable in his role. A.J. Hogert, who I believe looks to be a surprise so far with the way that he's played. It's really early to tell. As we know, November to Coach Izzo is like preseason football. Don't tell him that, but this is where he begins to mold and mix and finds the makeup of his team, and an unranked Michigan State team. No pressure on this team heading into this campaign. Kind of like the way he likes the pressure, though. He likes to be ranked, but he also likes the disrespect, and he likes where they're under when they're overlooked. And he, it's every once in a while to be the hunter instead of the hunted. Gives you a little bit of little different perspective. What do you think?
Of course. I mean, it's always easier to be the hunter instead of the hunted, man, because you know who you're going after. When you're the hunted, it's coming from any angle. You just don't know, and you're getting everyone else's best shot. I think Michigan State is prime, man. This is a great position for them to be in right now. It's unranked. You can't tell me that this is an unranked team. This is a very good team.
They look very talented. I mean,
very good.
Yeah,
this is one of the better teams we've seen this juncture in November. This team is playing together, and you can see the upside because Izzo, what he's going to do with this team come March. We all know.
How about the way he was
happen.
Smiling? Talk about that when you and I were in New York. We're looking at him, watching him on the bench. You go look at Coach Izzo's smile.
Yeah, he's smiling, man. I mean,
he's smiling because I think he saw a little glimmer of what he's got. Yeah,
he did. Yes, yeah, he saw some stuff out there. The
you
communication.
Said to me, you go look at Coach Izzo's smiling.
Look at him. He's like, yeah. I like seeing that, Coach. We love it. We love it, man. We love it. We saw him out there. Oh yeah. Whatever that was. But when I'm seeing that look on his face, I'm like, he's liking what he's seeing. He's liking it.
First of all, I've never seen him smile in November. Usually March, mid-March, end of March is when you begin to see him smile.
Yeah.
But I saw him smile in November.
It's like a gritty, athletic team, which is strange. I don't know. Already, it just shows they have grit, athleticism, and then togetherness, which is, man, that's all you need to go deep in that tournament.
Joey Hauser looked comfortable, had a double-double the other night. I think once he'll benefit the most from Tyson Walker once he gets settled in. Coach runs a very intricate, complicated offense, and so your point guard is absolutely key. And so I think once the point guard learns the offense and becomes a little bit more selfish and starts to take some shots, and once they get settled in and to begin to develop their chemistry and their roles, I think this team's a little bit better than advertised.
Oh,
that's what better. I do.
A lot better.
I do believe so, and it's going to be fun to watch. But does it feel like basketball season yet?
No, man. We still got.
We got Butler Wednesday at Henkel Fieldhouse.
The Hink.
That's your battle.
That's my hood, man. Yeah, Indianapolis. Butler University is right around the corner from my house. It's awesome, man. I was spoiled as a youngster going to high school games in Hinkle Fieldhouse, and that's where
Hoosiers was.
That's where Hoosiers were filmed. When the guys measured the basket, sitting on. I don't even know if guys nowadays, the young kids, even know about Hoosiers. It's a great movie. Check it out. Netflix. I'm sure it's on there.
I don't know if they know about 5 passes before they shoot either, but Coach wants that ball thrown around. But we're excited to watch this team grow because it's. I just love how he opens up against Kansas. First game of the year, measuring stick, kind of just see where he's at, and he's not afraid to play anybody. And I think that's one thing that college basketball has, which I also think minimizes the season a little bit, is because there's everybody's so focused on the tournament. But how many banners does Coach Izzo have? Final Fours? 8?
Oh man,
is it 7? 8?
At least.
Yeah, I believe he's got 8 banners hung up
Too
there.
many to count, man.
Yeah,
and counting.
So he knows.
Yes,
he knows a little something about March, and as the season progresses, as the year goes on, we will have more and more to say about our beloved MSU basketball team. We're just as excited as you are, but that'll wrap it up for this show. Do you got any predictions this week here?
Hey man, I just know that we're going down to Columbus and we're going to give it everything. We're going to give them hell down there. That's what I'm going to tell you. We're going to give them hell down in Columbus. No predictions, not giving any bulletin board material as some of our counterparts down the road would do. Not interested in doing any of that. But, it's going to be a good one. I'm excited for that. That's all I can think about right now.
So we're not giving any bulletin board material? Why not? We're not.
You go ahead. Go ahead.
We're not
you
making
do it.
any plays.
I know, but,
Shout out to the Dearborn Heights Raiders, first of all. I got yelled at last week. My son's Little League team. We're playing for all the marbles Saturday in the Peanut Bowl.
Oh, man.
All the marbles playing against Mays, who ironically has a uniform that looks like that team down the road.
Nick Zubes Mosalem.
Yep, we're going to play in that one.
He's a phenomenal offensive, defensive lineman. He comes off the ball like hey, let me tell you something, man. He is serious business.
We will go into Columbus and shock the world. We will win that game.
All right.
We are signing off. This is Brian Musalam with my co-host Jason Strayhorn. You are watching Inside the Locker Room. We will see you next week. Good night and go green.
God bless.